Welcome to Kay's online flower school, and thank you for downloading this free tutorial on how to decorate your pumpkin for Halloween. So these are a selection of pumpkins that I have picked up in our local supermarkets, and in advance I already have had the lid cut. I have them all scooped out, and what I did just to preserve the inside was just using a mixture of bleach and water, just with this Dettol cleanser. I've sprayed the inside of it quite, I've kind of sprayed a good bit, just that'll stop any bacteria growing. So basically bleach and water will do the same job. What I've then done is I have filled up the inside of the pumpkin with pieces of Oasis. So I have small pieces here. I'll just take some out so kind of give you an idea. So they're all offcuts of floral foam. So I've just filled the pumpkin with the floral foam. I'll try to turn it sideways there that you can see it. And then this pumpkin is a little bit unsteady, but when I have the arrangement in, it'll be fine. I then have half a block of floral foam. So the foam has already been soaked, as is the foam that's inside the pumpkin. That has already been soaked in water. Oasis or floral foam will take between 60 and 100 seconds to soak up water. So this square block of Oasis, I'm now going to insert it down into it. So I'll just take a little bit off the sides there. Sometimes I say to my students, it's like doing liposuction. Be great if you could do this to yourself, wouldn't it? And we're just taking off a little shaving around the sides there, that it'll fit securely down, and then I'm going to press it down into it. By having it nice and tight inside the pumpkin, it'll save you having to anchor tape it in or strap it in. It'll be nice and secure. Now what I always like to do is I always shave off the floral foam. So take off all the corners, see all the way around there. I just feel then when I'm making a flower arrangement, it's a lot more, it's easier basically to hide the floral foam, or how to camouflage it, hiding it with foliage. So that's why I always trim the top there. Nothing is even, as you can see there, it's rough and ready. Floral foam is nice and secure in there, and it's not going to fall out. For watering the arrangement when it's finished, using a watering can with a kind of very fine spout, a thin spout, is kind of come in through your flowers and your foliage and very, very slowly let the water pour on it. Now obviously the pumpkin is going to mature, and it is obviously going to die, but then so is the flowers. So depending on the type of material you're going to use, you're probably saying this arrangement is going to last maybe 12 to 14 days, and you'll find your pumpkin will last approximately the same. So spray the inside of your pumpkin with bleach and water, fill it up with Oasis, and then have a piece of foam cut nice and secure that it fits right down into it. But when I'm securing the material and inserting the flowers into the floral foam, some of the material will actually go down inside the pumpkin, which is also filled with floral foam. Now foliage wise, I'm trying to make this a kind of an easy enough tutorial to follow, that people that maybe haven't done flower arranging before, or people that maybe have their children helping them to be able to decorate their pumpkins for Halloween. So I'm keeping it very, very casual, and I'm not going to kind of go into rules and what you have to do. I'll try and give you as many hints as I can, but I am trying to keep it very, very simple. So first of all, go out into your garden and maybe rob, as we say, or forage, collect a selection of foliage. So I have some eucalyptus here. So I have different lengths. Some of them are probably maybe 15 to 20 centimeters in length, and some of them could be, that's about the same there I suppose, and some of them may be just that little bit shorter. So I have a selection of lengths of foliage. Again, I'm not going to be too strict with it. When I'm greening this up with the foliage, I'm going to use what we call the grouped method. So again, it's a simpler method to follow for people that haven't done flower arranging before, or haven't got a lot of experience doing flower arranging. So when you take up a length of foliage, okay, make sure there's no leaf at the bottom. So pull off any leaf there that's at the bottom, that you have a nice clean stem to insert into the floral foam. I want this piece of foliage resting down on the pumpkin. So you can see there's a natural curve to this piece of eucalyptus. So my hand is holding it from on top. A lot of people, when you're starting doing flower arranging, you're inclined to hold it like that. So grip the foliage with your hand, gripping it from on top, rest it on the pumpkin and insert it into the floral foam. And that way then your eucalyptus, as you can see there, will trail down. On either side of it, place another piece, leaving about 2 or 3 centimeters gap on either side of it. And again, the number of pieces you use, again, I'm being very, very casual about it, just to show you. If you want to come along and add in a 4th piece in between there, that's what you can do. So it's a number of pieces, trailing down off the pumpkin out of the floral foam, 2, 3 or 4 pieces. Then if you get a piece of eucalyptus, I'm just looking for kind of a fairly straightish one here, that you could stand up in the centre to give you a little bit of height. So again, I'm just going to remove them bottom leaves and just place that in the centre. Now I probably will come higher than that with the flowers, but just like with the foliage, that just kind of gives me an idea of the height of the arrangement foliage wise. Now if you were to imagine a triangle from this tallish piece of foliage until it comes down to meet these lower pieces of foliage, in that segment, in that area there, I now want to try and camouflage or hide the floral foam. I'm just going to spin it around so I'm actually looking at it. So here in front of me I have some selection pieces of eucalyptus. So I'm just going to cut some of these a little bit shorter, and I'll show you now what I mean. So, okay, a couple of pieces here. I suppose lengthwise, just in case anybody is wondering, maybe 12 to 15, 10 to 12, 12 to 15, not too long. So this time I'm holding the eucalyptus more like what I would class as a dart effect. So earlier on I showed you I gripped it on top. So now I'm kind of holding it underneath, but as if I was throwing darts. So in this area that I pointed out to you, the triangular kind of area on the floral foam, I'm now going to insert the foliage using this technique. And this will help to kind of camouflage that area. So some of the pieces are being inserted a little bit higher on the floral foam, and some of the pieces are being inserted a little bit lower down on the floral foam. And the idea is to try and like camouflage, but not cover it in completely, because I have a lot of material that I want to insert here afterwards. So I just have a little bit in there. I may come back afterwards and add in another little piece. But again, at home, don't worry too much about how many pieces did I actually use. I haven't been counting them, and it doesn't really matter. I'm going to turn this around to you now just so you can get an idea of what I've done. So that segment or that area there has been, lightly covered in using eucalyptus. Also in my own garden, I got some hebe. So little pieces of hebe foliage, and again it's cut into pieces, that way, anything from as short as 10 centimetres up to around 12 or 15 centimetres in length. And some of them are full, like that piece there, and some of them may be a little bit thinner or a little bit less foliage on it. So again, each piece of foliage, before I insert it into the floral foam, I remove the foliage at the bottom. And that way you have a nice clean stem going into your floral foam, and there's less likelihood of stuff falling out. Now again, it's a little bit of a curve on this one, and I know it'll be the upside down or the back of the foliage facing up, but just down low here on the floral foam, I just want to insert the foliage upwards using that technique, kind of going up into the floral foam. And that way then my foliage is kind of like lying down on the pumpkin, and it looks like it's kind of gripping it. Just kind of turn that around there, right? So you see the way some of them are flowing down. So now, picking an area or a segment between our tallest piece of eucalyptus in the centre and just that segment there, I want to camouflage. So I'm going to use some smaller pieces. Again, anything between 10 and 12, that way, a little bit shorter. I'm removing the leaf at the bottom, and now I'm back to using that darts technique. So again, I'm inserting the foliage on a slant in that area, as I said, I'm trying to visualize this kind of like triangular area. Again, I could use anything between, 4 to 6 pieces. I'm just going to get another 1 or 2. I'm not trying to cover every little segment on the floral foam, because I am going to add in some flowers and some decoration material afterwards. And to be honest, I'd be nearly happy enough with what I've just inserted. I'm just going to turn that around to you now. So again, you can kind of see that area there is being covered in using our hebe. Now again, you can use whatever foliage you happen to have at home. I have another little group now of the black pittosporum, or tom thumb, some people might call it. So again, I'm getting, this one is a little bit thinner, so I might use, extra number of pieces. So I have about 5 or 6 pieces of foliage in my hand here. I'm just going to trim them and just make sure all the leaf is removed from the bottom. So on the opposite side of the hebe, again down low, I'm inserting the foliage upwards into the floral foam. So I'm creating like a little frill or a little collar of foliage, kind of like resting down. I'm just going to put another one in on that side there, resting down onto the pumpkin. Again, try and visualize this triangle segment. So between the tallest piece of eucalyptus and these lower pieces of the black pittosporum, I'm going to use some smaller pieces using again that dart technique. And that will help to camouflage that area. Now, so hopefully go out to your own garden. I'm not a horticulturist, okay, I'm a florist. You'd know a little bit about greenery, that way. But go out to your own garden and see what you have. And feel free, if anybody is looking at this on Facebook or on Instagram, feel free to comment below and tell us your suggestions of foliage that maybe you have growing in your own garden or your neighbour has growing in her garden, and little pieces that you could relocate, as we call it. You could take it from somebody else's garden and relocate it into your pumpkin arrangement. So again, I'm using that dart technique and like filling in this area here. Again, not too heavy. I can always go back afterwards and add extra ones in. So I just have a little group of Pittosporum. So I just turn it around using the turntable. I still have to fill in this area here. So as I turn it around, you can see I have a group of eucalyptus, a group of the hebe foliage, a little group of the black Pittosporum, and now I have this area, and what I have here is a little bit of red robin foliage. So again, this is just something that we just took out of our own garden. So I have a couple of small segments of it that I'll insert upwards into the floral foam, you see, to let them hang down onto our pumpkin. So again, I've just put 2 pieces in there because it's pretty full. It's a small enough area. So again, in this triangle area, I'm now going to fill in, so I'm using some shorter pieces. Now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to comment below. I mightn't be doing this live, or you mightn't be watching it live, but I will obviously hop back now and then, and I'll answer any questions that you have. Or feel free to email us here at the school. Our email address is info@flowerschoolireland.com. And if you have been to our website and you have downloaded this course for free, you'll see that there's lots of other courses that we do, like we show you how to do like large pedestal arrangements, how to do topiary trees, how to do moon gates for weddings, like the large moon gate that the bride and groom can step through. We have online videos on making holly wreaths, we have online videos on making Halloween arrangements as well, and other types of styles, but this is just one that I just thought it would be a nice simple one for people to copy at home. So for the moment, I have, I'm happy enough with the amount of foliage that I have in here. As I said, I may add in some more later on as I'm adding in the material. So I'm now just going to get some leaf shine, and I'm just going to spray it with the leaf shine. So now after spraying it with the leaf shine, I'm now ready to add in some fresh material. So it depends on what you happen to have, like flower-wise, maybe what your local flower shop has for sale. I have a stem of orchids here, so I'm going to use some orchids. Now they are quite long, so I'm going to cut them just that little bit shorter. And just to that, I have a nice clean stem at the bottom. I'm just going to remove 1 or 2 of them orchids at the bottom, just so that I have a nice clean stem to insert. So as close to the centre of the arrangement. Now this isn't going to be a real, as I said, it's an all round arrangement, and it's kind of a little bit like informal rather than very formal. So as close to the centre as I can, I'm just going to press this stem of orchis right down into the floral foam, and way down into it, so it's nice and secure. Now the orchids, the remaining orchids, I'm just going to cut them a little bit shorter. So at the moment, the front of the orchids are facing you, and I'm looking at the back of the orchids, but I do want the arrangement to be all round. So just these smaller segments of orchids, the remaining part of the stem, I'm just going to insert them in the centre, but more looking at me now this time. And I have another few here as well. There's only 2 heads on this one, so again, I'm just going to put it shorter. And I'm just going to add them in, let me see, maybe over this way. So it means that people on all sides of the arrangement will be able to see a couple of them orchid heads. Now orchids are a great lasting flower, you know what I mean, they last for ages. So you can see there, right? So from this side you might kind of feel, oh, you're seeing more foliage. As you can see, this pumpkin is a little bit irregular, do you know that way? But again, this is a very casual flower arrangement, so like you're not worried about balancing things up or being symmetrical. I want you to use like what material you happen to have kind of around yourself. If you don't have orchids, you could use a couple of roses here, you could use a couple of carnations, or you could just leave it completely foliage if that's what you prefer to use. So while we were out foraging today, we also got some berries. So anybody, if you're driving along or if you're out walking with the dog, you'll see lots of this around. So I just have it cut into small segments. So in one area, I might as well take the position that's watching me at the moment here. I'm just going to insert some of this little orange berry in among the foliage. So it's kind of going in among the red robin foliage on this side of the arrangement. I just have a little section of this orange berry. I have to say, it looks really well, and it's something that you can get for free. Now again, if you're trying to keep this to a budget, you could put a lot more berry in it and like cut back on the amount of material that you use. Also what I have is a little bit of the celosia, or what I often call the brain flower, do you know what I mean? And again, I just happen to have this here. If you haven't got it, you could leave it out altogether, or you could substitute it for something else. So I'm cutting the stem quite short on it, removing most of the foliage. Just make sure that you have a nice clean stem, you know, that way. And again, the section that's facing me at the moment, as you can see, I'm not following any particular pattern, is where the black pittosporum is. So in among the black pittosporum, I'm just getting the stem of celosia and just inserting it into the floral foam, nice and secure. And there you have, like, where I just have a little group, more or less. So it's where I have a group of the celosia, I have our group of orchids, and around here I have our group of berries. So again, like say flower wise, let me see, I have some protea heads here. So I'll just get a couple of protea heads. Sorry if I'm gone off camera there for you. So a couple of these little protea heads. So I'm cutting them again shortish. I'm removing the foliage that's at the bottom of the stem. This protea I want to have down low. So again, I'm using that technique of gripping the stem on top, and I'm going to kind of like position the flower upwards into the floral foam. And then I'm going to get the second one, cut it a little bit shorter. Again, remove any foliage that's at the bottom. Make sure you have a nice clean stem, like cut on a sharp angle. That way it'll anchor into your floral foam a lot more secure. And we're just going to put in our second flower. So again, as I turn that around, you can see where I'm starting to add a little bit of interest into the arrangement. Now again, you could leave it like that. I would prefer to put something else here, do you know the way? But it's completely up to you. I want you to be very casual about this arrangement. It's not a commercial arrangement. It's something that you're doing for pleasure, and you're using up flowers and material that maybe it's accessible to you, stuff that you can maybe pick up in your local, whether it's your local supermarket or your local flower shop. So I have another type of berry here. I didn't obviously wrap this one. This is one that we bought, okay, that we purchased. And I just think maybe over here in this section here I might add some of this berry. So have a look around, like say out at the moment you might find maybe you have some cotoneaster, or the hypericum berry is still in flower. So like again, you could use some of that berry or whatever you're able to get your hands on, or you have different types of foliage with different colours on it. Now even just 2 or 3 segments of that little berry there, I might just put in one little more piece just for good luck. So another little piece in here. Again, everything that you insert into your floral foam, clean your stem down before you press it in. It'll make it a lot more secure. So that's just added another little bit of interest, you see, into that arrangement. So as I turn it around now, I just kind of feel this area here could probably do with something else. So again, having a look around, like whether it's your house or your shop or what have you got kind of in stock. And I'm just going to have a quick look here. I have a couple of, I'll show you now what I have. Just grab some of these. So these are twig rings or twig spheres, and you could pick these up in your local flower shop. They also would have them in kind of like natural. And all I've done is I've just gripped a 20 gauge wire in through the twig and just twist it around. And before I insert the wire into the floral foam, is if you bend it up in half, so you're making what we call a hairpin bend. And that way then the twig or the wire will grip into the floral foam and is less likely to fall out. So I'm positioning one of them in there into our floral foam, and then I'm going to get the second one, which again I haven't rewired already. I'm just going to bend up our wire and I'm going to place it quite close to that one. So again, I'm keeping to that grouped method. So here's our second one, just kind of placed down into it. So again, as I turn it around, you can see it's getting pretty full now. Now I'm looking at the celosia and I would like another little bit. So I do have a smaller stem of it here. I'm just going to remove some of the foliage. I'm going to cut it medium-ish length. And I'm going to insert it into the floral foam, kind of going upwards into the floral foam, and that way I'll just have it hanging down a little bit. So as you can see, when you're making a flower arrangement, you don't have to have a definite plan. I've actually broken that stem there. This is a live video, so don't worry if something goes wrong, because you've just seen it went wrong on me there. So I'm just going to go back again. I'm lucky I have another stem. So I'm just going to recut it again. Let's cut it a little bit shorter this time, I think. And again, I'm going to go back up into the floral foam. And I just kind of feel that it needed something else kind of beside it. So now you can see, I'll just turn that around to you now. I have the 2 little pieces of celosia, and I think it looks much nicer now. So we have our group of celosia. We have some berries. We have some berries that we foraged. We have our little twig spheres. We have a little bit of protea. And it's all foliage like that we've taken from our garden, and a little bit of orchid coming up here in the centre. So I'd be happy enough with that. I don't think I'll put much more material into it. I'm going to leave it like that.